I look forward to using the GTO trainer because still I encounter situations that I'm not fully comfortable in. You know, take 3-betting out of the big blind. I'm not exactly sure which hands I'm supposed to use. Well, the GTO trainer would allow you to play through the same situation over and over. You can go through so many reps that now when you find yourself in that spot in the future, you're going to be much more prepared and confident. So if you'd like to start, you can check it out at learnwpt.com/GTO.
We're taking poker to a whole new level. Introducing ClubWPT Diamond, where you'll be playing for bigger prize pools, larger cash payouts, and more WPT seats than ever before. Plus, you'll get exclusive VIP access to World Poker Tour events and pro strategies with your free membership to learn WPT. We're taking poker to a whole new level. So if you want to take your game to the next level, during today, no purchase necessary. Check out Club WPT Diamond. ClubWPT Diamond, where you'll be playing for bigger prize pools, larger cash payouts, and more WPT seats than ever before. Plus, you'll get exclusive VIP access to World Poker Tour events and pro strategies with your free membership to learn WPT. So if you want to take your game to the next level, during today, no purchase necessary. Check out Club WPT Diamond.
Hi everyone, it's Alex Gray from the World Poker Tour. Another week, and the wins just keep rolling in on our online poker platform, ClubWPT.com. This week, David Schumann came out tops in our very own Lingle Martins Bounty Tournament. So congratulations, David, and you could be a winner just like him. So all you need to do is head to ClubWPT.com and sign up today. Hi everyone, it's Alex Gray from the World Poker Tour. Another week, and the wins just keep rolling in on our online poker platform, ClubWPT.com. This week, David Schumann came out tops in our very own Lingle Martins Bounty Tournament. So congratulations, David. just like him. So all you need to do is head to clubwpt.com and sign up today.
It's easy to start playing online poker from... the comfort of your own home with the World Poker Tour's home for online poker, Club WPT. Every month, the VIP members on Club play for $100,000 in cash and prizes. And if you're new to poker, it's easy to sign up to Club WPT, learn the game, and start playing online right away. Sign up for free using... And they'll get you free entry into a $5,000 guaranteed tournament with no purchase necessary. So come and join us at clubwpt.com.
Hi everybody, it's Alex Gray from the World Poker Tour. Another week and some more incredible wins on Club WPT. From Cedar Hill, Texas, Anne McClellan took down the
All right, there it is. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Club WPT stream, our Thursday night stream this week. How we all doing tonight in the chat?
Welcome one and all, stream team. Good to have sports back in our life. I got the NBA going on right in front of me. Lakers Clippers, big matchup. I got Obi sneaking around at my feet. Obi, you really he won't come visit me all day, but the second I want to stream, he's like, oh, actually, I want some attention. He's in there. But yeah, it's very good. We had the Jazz Pelicans on. Got to watch some Zion earlier. Pull this table up and get going in our diamond level membership. 1,500 cash guarantee tonight. You got to watch some Zion. He looked good tonight. Zion looked really good. I don't know how the Pelicans blew that 16-point lead in the third at one point. I mean, it was just a total meltdown, but it just kind of ran out of scoring. Jordan Clarkson came together. What we got tonight? John Miner, Johnny Haha, Air Herb, You Have Eaten, Grateful Greg, Vandy Toronto, Joe Sharingo, Lynch Cats, G Squared. Thanks for showing up tonight. Best of luck if you're playing along. Hopefully we make a run. If not, it's going to be our stream team home game sit and go format again. But yeah, what a pleasure to have big mainstream sports back. Baseball came back this week. It might be the only week of baseball that we get, based on the COVID outbreaks in the Marlins and all these game cancellations, and just sort of, judging from the methods that they use to try and contain the Marlins situation or lack thereof. Don't be surprised if baseball doesn't hold up. I don't really think it will at this stage, but it's not over yet. Manfred says it's not a nightmare scenario, so I guess we'll find out. But the NBA very successfully pulled off this bubble, and now has had a couple of consecutive rounds of no cases. So that's really encouraging. Got my bets in on both games tonight. I had the Jazz, so that one turned out okay, and I got the Lakers, but I'm giving up 5, which was probably the worst line available during the whole course of this game. So not my best work on that one, but the rest was okay. Took today off from this basically this just basically took the day off. This is it for me today. I didn't do anything else. Let's play some Warzone. I practiced my serve on the tennis court. My coach has got me changing my mechanics a little bit to really, how to put it. What I've been learning is a lot of time, when I would wind up for my serve, I'd get ready and my racket would be sort of ready up here. And he's teaching me you basically have to invert it at one point so that when you come around like that, you can really whip your wrist, just snap down on the ball. So I can tell it's starting to work when I really connect with it. It's just the ball just like leaps off the racket. And I don't feel like I'm forcing it with my shoulder for a long time. I felt like I was really trying to muscle that serve in there. And now it feels very light, very loose. And it's like the wrist is just snapping nice and loose. It's where a lot of the momentum comes from. What's new with all you? You enjoying having sports back as much as I am? Thank you for the good luck and the well wishes. Guess it sounds like some people are watching Helmuth versus Fendiari. Trying to think about how much I'd have to be paid to watch that. Meanwhile, we got the NBA on. Well, LeBron versus Kawhi. I mean, this is the matchup in the West. It's almost for a lot of the season, a lot of people felt it was a foregone conclusion that it would come down to Clippers, Lakers, and in the West at least, and that the Bucks would make it out of the East. I'm not so sure. So the Clippers look kind of rusty, but that's a strong squad. That's a strong squad, no doubt. A lot of talent in the West, though. But yeah, nice to have that. Nice to have that back. Ooh, real nice to have that back. You could tell Pelicans are going to be a force in future years. They kind of needed to get it together, but they've got all the right talent. They've got all the right pieces. Terry St. Peter, Heineken Bob, Rigo, Ace 210, Mojonius. Thanks for showing up tonight. Hi, Convin. How we doing? And Beth, what's going on? It's been another up and down week of poker. Ooh, whenever I get a little too close to the camera, we get the zoom thing going on. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Mm, mm. Use the force. Maybe. Kinda. But yeah, it's been an up and down week of poker. There was a 2K high roller deep stack last night, which, you know, they need to do some work on their structures for these World Series events because literally at the bubble it was 8 big blind average, and so we got into the money. It's the deep part of the tournament. We're playing for $300,000, and it was like beyond just a dumb luck fest. There was no poker left to it. It was just kind of the cards are being dealt out, and we're all watching what happens. So I hope that in future years, if they have to continue things online, that they resolve some of the structures. Um, but other than that, I'm making a run on the leaderboard. I'm seventh right now. The people who I would say are top three are far enough off that there's only one event left that I can play. Today was the seniors event. I am not 50 plus, and tomorrow is the last event for the U.S. facing side, and so that will be my last chance to try and top out on the leaderboard. If you win the whole leaderboard, you get $19,000. Um, I'm in seventh right now. If I were to hold that position, I think I'd get 3 or 4 grand, on top of how I'm done for the series. So that would, look, bonus money, always great. Um, I talk about this all the time, how, the Tournament of Champions with the WPT is one of the true value adds, value give backs you see major tours do all year, and respect to the World Series for stepping up and doing a 100K leaderboard for this whole series. And I'm happy that I'm going to get to cash out some of the money from that leaderboard. Definitely paid a lot of rake during the series, and so getting some of that back. And hopefully, if tomorrow goes well, maybe we can. I have the final table, I think, to really be a threat to get the number one spot. But I think I could crawl into fourth with just a good cash or something like that if my opponents didn't do really well. And of course, I was super happy to see Nick Binger, my fellow instructor at Learn WPT, also won a bracelet this week. He won a big one for like 130,000. And what's super cool about that is Nick doesn't even play that much poker anymore. He's an instructor. He's a businessman. He's all about making learn, become one of the most cutting edge training sites that we have in the game, and yet still, can show up, get it done. Won his second bracelet. It's very cool to see. All right, Covin's got his Dodgers tonight. Hey, all right, tell me, baseball fans in the stream, how are we feeling about the sport of baseball right now? Do you think that it's going to hold up? Do you think this is going to hold together and they're going to be able to get the season in? And a second question, how do you feel about Joe Kelly versus the Astros the other night? Throwing at their heads, backing them off the plate, taunting them as he was walking off. Oof, look at this. So, in some settings, I would check this board looking to check raise. Here, I think people are going to miss some of the flop bets, and that seeing as we unblock all the pairs, you can have pretty much any of this that connects with, we don't block. I think we should just bet and start getting money in the pot. All right, we get the call. Pretty good turn. I think we just want to keep betting. Don't really see any reason to get super cute. Go for about 2/3 pot here. Okay, and then that's a pretty good river. You know what? I think if he had two pair, he would have raised us. I think he can have some king queen and stuff. I am gonna go big. I think he either has a hand that can call a big bet or no bet. If he shoves, it's pretty gross, but I'm gonna call. And if you got, king 10 or king jack, gross. Maybe I should just bet smaller. All right, you guys want to play sit and go? Got him. Alright, he slow played the queen 9. Yeah, that's one of the reasons you can't really fold there. He can have kings and he can have worse straights. So if your opponent can have worse value, you definitely can't bet fold. And it really, feels like in that spot, if your opponent has king 10 or king jack, especially king jack, you're probably going to hear about it on an earlier street. Particularly, I feel like on club, people fast play their good hands a little more. So you definitely can't fold once you get to the river. But hey, nice quick double up. Maybe we'll make a run tonight. Wouldn't that be fun? I feel like last week we did okay. Okay, not great. Didn't have to bust out the sit and go. Ah, that's right, the censorship. Okay, let's see what we find. Oh, open a straight draw. It's a nice little piece of this flop. Hey, Jeremy, what's going on? How you doing? There's our card. There's our card. Let's just go ahead and bet pot. 2 flush draws out there. A lot of draws that my opponents can put me on. Let's not get cute. Just go ahead and bet pot. And yeah, fortunately, takers. I completely agree, Vandy. I don't see how the NFL has already had so many opt-outs. The season hasn't even come close to starting. I think that a lot of NFL players on top of Major League Baseball players are realizing that the leagues are not putting their health and security first by any means. They are putting the bottom line first, which, no surprise, but those two organizations have never had the best relationships with their players, and that is starting to have repercussions. And so, yeah, a lot of, somebody like, what's his name, Price for the LA Dodgers opted out, and he said, I don't think that Major League Baseball has the players' safety as a priority. And considering what happened with the Marlins, I think he tweeted out like, yeah, this is exactly the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, guys. Um, so yeah, the real risk for baseball, you have to understand, is kind of this avalanche where they go from being one of America's, receding, but one of America's major sports, to increasingly an afterthought in American culture. Like baseball already had problems being kind of an old sport, kind of a long, slow, boring sport, kind of not the most marketable sport. They didn't allow their players to show personality. All these various problems. Now, if you have within a single year span a massive cheating scandal that reveals that a World Series was essentially stolen and there was no relevant consequences metered out to the players involved, such that basically other players within the league tried to meter out justice by throwing at their heads, and then you bungle the COVID situation so thoroughly that you start up the season and then cancel it. If you have that sequence of things, and baseball is basically out of the American conscience for 2 years, it's not going to come back to what it once was or anything close to it. It is going to be very, very much, making up room on the other sports that came back in a more functional way, basketball, hockey, and so forth. And yeah, I think it's going to spell a really, really problematic issues for baseball's future if they can't get it together. I'm kind of split on the fan piped in noise. On the whole, it's sort of like when I have sports on in the background, that noise is part of the rhythm of it. So I certainly don't mind it the way I've seen some people be like, oh my God, I hate this fake, fan noise stuff. It's so unnatural. I don't mind it as much, but some people, I don't know how to put it. It's really, they find it very disruptive. It ruins their experience. So, hey, what's up, Smithy? What's going on tonight? Ooh, pocket sevens. Pocket sevens. All right. Well, not a bad start for my Lakers bet. 18-11 in yearling goings. Let's find that 7. Nope. So yeah, multi-way pot, 2 overcards. Really just not much reason to get cute here and try and bet. Oh, Cobbin, they got you every Tuesday now. Okay. Well, welcome to the team. Any more permanent manner, sir? I'm gonna check. I just think this would be a little too thin to bet, even though I kind of think we have the best hand. Yeah. It was close. I think if you bump that up a little bit higher in the echelon of pairs, I still might bet some stuff under queens. But going that far under queens would have been really ambitious to try and get called by worse. Wow, Joakim Noah playing relevant minutes in 2020. Oof. Joakim Noah playing relevant minutes in 2020. Okay. Oh, it's so good to have sports back. I'm so tired of paying attention to everything else on the internet. It's all terribly depressing. I just want to watch cool slam dunks from Ja Morant. I will say though that this whole quarantine, pandemic, and hiatus on sports was a cool opportunity to go back and learn a lot about sports history. For me, more so the NBA. I watched a lot of NBA videos on YouTube over the last few months, and I didn't, I lived through most of a lot of the iconic years of the NBA that somebody eligible for the seniors event today would have. My memory of the NBA comes in somewhere around, Michael Jordan always winning. Like Michael Jordan was just, a fixture of growing up in the 90s, and that's, him and the NBA were synonymous, and the idea of Jordan always winning was what I thought of for the NBA. So, these other legends of the game and the careers and, the ups and downs of the various franchises, not something I really knew about. To me, conceptually, the NBA, started with Michael Jordan in my head. Obviously, I know that's not true, but just in terms of my memories. Oh yeah, I feel you, Kevin. I'm not certainly not suggesting any of us, boycott baseball. It's more like I just kind of think that for their own sake, if they can't get it together, like there is a real peril for the sport going forward in the future. All right, one quick thing. We're gonna get some water here. There we go. So yeah, it looks like the Clippers down in the bubble, at least in their scrimmages, they just didn't shoot well. They didn't look good. They didn't have chemistry. Um, it strikes me as the kind of thing is, look, there's just way too much talent on that roster. I'm sure they'll get it together by the time the playoffs roll around and they really need to win games. But for the moment, they look a bit out of sorts. Well, so Pompanex, yeah, the fans forgave the Patriots for inflated footballs. I don't know how much I agree with that take. I kind of think that Patriots fans basically didn't really buy into the whole deflated football narrative, that it happened, that it was relevant. And then other football fans still hate the Patriots guts and consider them the evil empire. I, it's not so much that the fans won't forgive baseball, it's that they'll pick up other things. It's that, well, I kind of like baseball. I was sort of into it. I was kind of getting into it. I watched a little bit, but then I was gone for 2 years. I didn't think about it. I don't know any of these guys anymore, and I don't really care. But, oh, I've been watching so much hockey. I've been watching so much NBA. I've been watching so much whatever else. Is that it will just fall behind in viewership in a way that could be really hard to rebound from. Um, these things could definitely have lasting consequences. I'm in trouble with the bots out here regulating. Man, how fast are people blasting off chips? I'm only in 51st with the full double minutes in. People out there firing. Obey! Hard to get that dog. Of course, I'm pumped. I mean, there's a lot of good. Tomorrow is kind of the jam. My two favorite teams are playing. Arguably my three favorite teams, actually. I would say Bucks 1, Grizzlies 2, and then Luca and Dallas Mavericks 3. It's hard not to enjoy Luca, hard not to enjoy Ja Morant. But of course, Giannis and the Bucks is what I really have my hopes pinned on. If you really wanted to get loose, you could open up the King 10, but not terribly necessary. It's certainly not something the chart would do. But yeah, I mean the Bucks. they're blowing everybody out of the water. They have like a plus 11 point differential in these games. Everything, and they look good in these scrimmages. I mean, it's just kind of a complete team. It's too bad they don't still have Malcolm Brogdon. That was a big loss, and we'll see if Bledsoe can stay on the floor this time in the playoffs. But you still got George Hill and Dante DiVincenzo if you need some more guard play from guys who may be a little more, just a little more up to it. It's weird, Bledsoe, sometimes he's borderline all-star, and sometimes he just looks like a guy who doesn't belong on an NBA court because he can't shoot the three. He just has like the yips on his three ball. Anybody make any bets tonight? Anybody got anything riding on the games? Or tomorrow? Whether it's baseball, basketball, golf. Golf tournaments happening this weekend. UFC on Saturday. I was not planning to fold this hand to one raise, but when our opponent 5x's, I don't really love it, especially pre-ante, but I tend to think the big sizing is really strong hand. So I'd probably call with, certainly Queen Jack suited, probably Queen 10 suited. Queen 9's getting a little loose out of position there. Nice when we run up chips right away, though. It's funny, you watch the Lakers and it's like Dion Waiters, J.R. Smith, JaVale McGee. Like, it's just, in theory, it's sort of this, the island of misfit toys in the NBA. Like, all these guys who get cast off, and somehow LeBron is the one that's like, no, 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 we want, we want these guys. Well, he does a good job of just kind of making the most of the teammates that he has and getting the best out of them. Although, of course, that the J.R. Smith playoffs moment was pretty rough. Just LeBron, just no, what are you doing? JR thinks the score is tied. Oh, so brutal. Or he thinks that they're up when they're tied. All right, so we three bet our ace king of clubs, and our opponent calls. We can bet this flop with the overcards, vector, straight back, full flush draw. It's not a killer flop for our hand, but it's not a bad one. I would barrel a queen, but I don't really like the 10 because it just connects with a lot of the stuff he's going to peel. It gives him like pair plus straight draw. It gives Jack 10 two pair. So I think I'd rather just take the free river here. Well, pretty tough to be good now. We beat ace queen. Show me ace queen. A6. So call the three bet with a6 offsuit. Yeah, from a strategy standpoint, a6 offsuit's not even an open raise up there, and calling a three bet is asking for trouble. But also maybe to think, get in a pot with me, collect some kind of bounty or something. That definitely happens sometimes on these sites. Jeremy just getting inundated with suggestions. Queens get it in real good, and I gotta stay good. So I'm gonna take my first major break from poker, I guess. Probably starting after on Monday. There's the last World Series event that's on the U.S. side is tomorrow, and then Saturday I'll probably relax a little bit. Sunday is Sunday. I'll play a big schedule on Sunday, After that, I'm going to relax. I'm going to move for sure. I might move within Vegas. I might move out of Vegas entirely. I haven't really decided what I want to do about that. I don't know. It's, I always talk myself in and out of it. I would definitely like to move out of Vegas, but right now it doesn't really seem like the best time to move to a new place when you have to, maintain social distance. And if you move to a new place, ideally you get to, get out there a little bit, meet new people, live your life. And it's like, oh wait, nah, that's all very dangerous right now. Um, so yeah, I'm thinking about it. I don't know, I gotta pick a place. I like having the, real money poker available in Nevada. The cost of living is good. The weather is good when it's not 110 in July, but 9 months of the year, the weather is actually pretty nice here. So the only other place where, I could play the US facing sites for the moment, ooh, Anthony Davis with the slam, would be in Jersey, which is not bad. I just don't love the idea of having a full-blown winter. And, I'd love to live in like New York City and spend more time there. But again, if you have to maintain social distancing, it's a little less appealing. But there's some other interesting places. Certainly there are parts of California that are very nice, but whenever anybody brings up a lot of, well, for LA, it's just the traffic. I just can't imagine. I just absolutely cannot imagine trying to live in that kind of traffic. San Diego seems doable. That's definitely a tempting option, no doubt. Um, and then San Francisco's not really for me. I've spent time there. It's cool and all, but like I don't really see living there. And after that, I don't know. I'm kind of open to suggesting Florida's a reasonable option. Nice weather, no state taxes. Same idea where you just kind of need to get out during the summer if you can. But of course, the corona situation there is brutal right now. Um, but yeah, it's also the kind of place where you can be outdoors and avoid a lot of the closed-in areas that would be higher risk. Yeah, I'm from the Midwest, but I can't imagine going back to those winters. That's pretty much I remember growing up in Wisconsin and thinking like, whatever happens in life, as long as I could get out of these winters, get out of this weather, I'll have made it. I'll have done okay for myself. Like sometimes I'll be out here in Vegas in February or whatever, and it'll be 70 degrees and sunny, and I'll just check the weather back home and just smile inside. Just oh, I escaped. Oh, thank you. But I like the people back home. I like the people. I like that everybody roots for my favorite sport teams. I like having friends and family around, of course, but where I grew up in Wisconsin, it's a nice college town, but if you're not in college, the whole city's closed at 10 p.m. So it's not really the right place for a young adult. Maybe if you want to have a family, but yeah, we're a little far off on that one. Okay, Lakers out by 13 right now. Just beating down the Clips. LeBron with the air ball. Let me ask you all something. If LeBron wins his fourth championship and with a third team, do you start to think he is just right on that same level with Jordan? Jordan. I know Jordan has 6, LeBron's 4. I know Jordan never lost in the finals. LeBron has. When you start talking, look, weighing the total argument of longevity, quality of competition built, and just their versatility as players and everything, is it at 4 that you start to really, you know, draw the two close? Is it at 5? I would be very, very, very surprised if LeBron manages to win more than 5. I think it'll be impressive if he gets a fourth, but he is going to be on, amongst the best teams the next 2 to 3 years. He seems to really still have it going, approaching 40 now. But there's a lot of talent in the NBA right now. There's a lot to compete with. So I think he'll probably get one more. I don't know about 2 more. Have I been to Santa Barbara, California? I don't know if I have. That's a little north of LA, right? Is that right? Tell me, John. Rat Cat's like, you don't want to move to Jersey. What about like, Hoboken, right across from the city or something? That hardly feels Jersey. Mike Johnson, thank you. Appreciate that. Thoughts on the Dean eggs and polk drama? That's a very apt question, isn't it? Um, well, let's take it from a few different angles. From a gambling perspective, if I saw even money available, I would want to bet on Polk. He certainly has the advantage in the limit hold'em. If they do a format where they mix two games, I would also think that Polk would have an edge in no limit hold'em, and that he would be able to make up the distance in whatever game they play versus Negreanu, such that Negreanu would still have an edge in the other game. It just wouldn't be as big as Polk's edge in no limit hold'em would be. From a personality standpoint, I mean, it's weird. I like them both, and they're both, you know, kind of jerks too. Like they just are. Um, but they both have very important places in our game as kind of voices and ambassadors. Um, Daniel. I think that Daniel gets himself in a lot of trouble unnecessarily by not showing the most awareness or considering how his actions will be perceived by others, or considering the vantage points of his peers. And I think that, Polk has looked over the years to magnify his conflict with Negreanu because he's seeking to build a brand and knows that, they say in rap, you never beef down. Well, Polk is very aware that while he's trying to build a brand, beefing up with Daniel Negreanu, one of the biggest figures in poker, is very good for his brand, for his following, and for his role as an influencer. And so I think that while Polk has made a lot of valid criticisms of Daniel over the years, I think a lot of his motivation for making those criticisms is more about brand building than like wanting to shed awareness on the fact that Negreanu's a jerk sometimes, you know? But, I'll say this heads up match has probably garnered more interest in a poker showdown than anything in memory for a while now. It's very anticipated. So, you know, people talk about Negreanu morphing into the wrong kind of ambassador, or Doug basically being an internet troll that uses Negreanu to build his own brand. But ultimately, they're giving the fans what they want. They're giving people what they want. I want to see these guys play. I want to see what kind of wacky t-shirt or billboard or whatever method of trolling Doug comes up with. It is, despite it being, how to put it, it's like junk food, but it tastes good. So, yeah, I'll probably watch a little bit. Or I guess I'd say I'd probably watch a little of the heads up match and be curious to see who comes out on top, but I can't imagine like seriously watching it when I could watch like the NBA or something. Ultimately, I don't care about their feud. On the whole, ultimately, it's weird. Like, I'll follow these things. It's interesting. I'm happy that they're playing this match, but like, I'd way rather talk about 30 big blind poker cut off first button than like Daniel Negreanu's and Doug Polk's feud. If we want to talk poker, I'd rather talk poker, but on the whole, people would rather, would these kind of thing is much more viral, I guess is what I'm saying. Oh, JJ Lieberman, what up, bro? How you doing? I mean, Hoboken seems pretty cool to me. It seems pretty close to the city. You can play the U.S. facing sites. You get a little bit of the reduced cost of living. Got it. Yeah, I can't remember the last time a heads up match garnered this kind of interest. Maybe Mike Stintali versus Kate Hall was the last one that people were pretty amped for. It ultimately always comes down to the actual degree of like rivalry and animosity between the two. Like I guess Helmuth played Antonio today, and I didn't see any chatter about that online. I didn't see any, hype or people, discussing the price of it. And the reason is, I think, because Helmuth and Antonio don't actually like hate each other. There's no genuine animosity there. There's no like compelling storyline about who's going to come out on top or who's going to get the last laugh. It's just, two guys who have been central to poker's production over the years and have won big tournaments and have been on screen a lot, playing a heads-up match for the hell of it, which if you're really into poker and if you're really into their two personalities, okay, sweet, but I don't think it's compelling the way that a guy who poke match will be because they actually don't like each other. That's what makes it good. It just is. Hmm. Speaking of good, I don't think you want to just jam flop when he bets pot like that. He's showing a lot of strength to bet pot on this monotone flop. Kind of think he's just flopped a lot of sweet hands. It is a little annoying that sometimes he just has, like king queen, ace queen, whatever, and we would rather just kind of get it in the flop with a whole bunch of outs flipping than have something like this happen where he jams 1.5x pot on the turn and we have to fold and can't realize our equity. But I really just think when he pots flop like that, he's signaling a ton of strength, and it might be that we really just have an 8-outer. Or I guess if he has a flop flush, even less, we basically just have a 6-outer. 7, whatever. I don't know. Okay. Limp call 7. It's a slightly loose limp call when he 4x's, but it's still connecting hands play pretty sweet. Like if you look at charts, see what hands are always calling down to the blind multi-way offsuit. It's always the connecting ones. My first big pot I won yesterday to get me up in chips was 4-3 offsuit. Stuff like that, 4-5 offsuit, 4-3 offsuit. When you're out of the big blind, facing these multi-way pots, those actually play really nice because they tend to overlap with the kind of boards where people make, strong top pairs, and you end up with 2-pair combos or straights that you can put a lot of money in with them. Look at this, LeBron. Boom! All right, we'll raise it. Yeah. You would never guess LeBron's like approaching middle age. It's insane. Hey, what do you guys think about LeBron's gray beard? You think he should have kept it gray? I thought it was kind of crazy. So that's a good question, JG, about whether live poker would be affected by this in the long run. I think it will definitely be affected in the medium run. I think it might take a little while for fields to build back up, but that um, poker on the whole, clearly has managed to maintain its interest and its following during this time. I mean, just look at the size of the fields online and international stuff, the U.S. facing stuff here at club, just everything's growing. And I think there's a lot of pent up demand that, when various casinos have tried to run events, there's reserved interest, I guess you would say. So I think poker will probably just be fine. It just will take a little bit unless we have, a perfect vaccine that fixes everything. No questions asked. I think it'll take a little while to build back up just because, as always, people will be cautious about getting together in mass and sharing germs, things like that. So, but on the whole, I think we should be fine. I don't think as far as I can tell that poker was severely hurt by the pandemic. But I guess we'll see. I'm speculating. When we start running live tournaments again, if this thing is still a fear out there, well then yeah, it's gonna be pretty messed. Okay, we bet our ace queen, no takers. Oh, what a nice feed. Do we know yet when the heads-up action will happen between the two? I think from their discussions they were saying September or October. And of course, there's still some chance that the negotiations break down. But at this point, I think there's a lot of expectations on the two of them, and that both of them have their ego involved in this. So I guess here's my question for the chat: Who are you in that heads-up match? Who are you rooting for and why? I'm very curious to see how other poker players who are a little less close to Doug and Daniel. Most of the people that I would talk about Doug and Daniel with know Doug and Daniel in real life, and so their perception of them is, of course, influenced by that. But I would imagine most people in the chat don't know them personally, might just be kind of watching this all through the lens of the internet. So tell me, who do you want to win? Why? What are your perception of these guys? Why they're having this match? All right, we can raise up our suited ace wheel. Not a lot happening on our Jack 4 1 hard flop. For 300, we can see a turn. We do have a bunch of backdoor draws. Oh, that's our card. I was gonna say a 2 or a 5 of hearts is really our card. Whenever there's this kind of cute bet sizing going on, it's hard to distinguish. Is he just got a 4 and he's betting for information? This is our jack. I mean, there's just nothing he can be playing this way except for a jack that would make sense. Nobody does this with other stuff, so we're just trying to get there on him. Nope, he wins. Too bad. I think if we get our 5 or a heart, we just stack him. As long as it doesn't give him a boat. It is definitely a question whether, cash game traffic will be decreased because maybe, well, I don't really know. It's just, yeah, will this affect gambling on the whole? Because I don't see, sitting at a poker table is all that different in terms of risk factor from sitting at a blackjack table, sitting at a roulette table. I don't think table is quite the right word, but yeah, I don't know. So I'll tell you this, I have a friend named Jeff Wang I follow on Twitter, and he went down to the strip recently and he took a bunch of photos of what it looks like, and it's abandoned. I mean, until we get this thing under control, nobody's coming back to Vegas to just gamble for fun, and it's been kind of sad to watch it all play out because I want Vegas to do well, I want the business to come back, I want things to be open again, but I also want us to get past COVID enough that it is truly safe to go back to normal without fear of a resurgence of this just coming and going in waves over and over again. And so, Vegas is struggling to find this balancing point between, open, close, what can stay open, what's low enough risk, what's too high. Airherb, if the U.S. allowed just nationalized online poker, it would be, the fields are already insane, just completely nuts. I cannot stress this enough. Just how they're huge and they're soft and they're just crazy. If we nationalized it, oh man, you guys would never see me again. I'd just be too rich. It's online poker would be amazing, and I would just be printing. And sorry, they would just be crazy. Oh man, if this is what it's like with 2 states in play, you put 48 states in play, or if we were to go back to the old Wild West days of the entire world linked up online, people able to just send money back and forth, huge player pools, third-party registration. Oh boy. I can't, you could probably 10x the field sizes, which is insane. Talking about playing for $3 million last night or something. Heineken Bob, you can bet on their match. Timex at PokerShares released a line, but Doug is a massive favorite. It's like plus 235 Daniel, minus 285 Doug or something. So not only are you getting vigged pretty hard, um, what's up, euphoric music? I believe I am. Yeah, I think I am in the 1K Pacific tonight. I stream this one and then we start up that one, and then sometimes I continue streaming it. Sometimes I just kind of check out and just play it out, chilling. But I'll definitely be playing in it tonight. That's no doubt. Maxwell, your friend got COVID. I'm sorry to hear that. In a live poker club. Yeah, I mean, again, until we get a handle on the situation, I don't see myself going to play live poker. I mean, there's no chance. Um, but once we do, once we have a handle on COVID and we bring the rate of transmission really, really under control, or we have a vaccine or whatever it is, I'll be the first at the door at the casino. But you know, I I I'm a tournament poker player and gambler by trade, and so you you grow up thinking about what happens if these small risks become materialized. So it's sort of the cavalier attitude a lot of people have to COVID is, well, it's not going to happen to me, and if it does, I'll be one of the asymptomatic people, or I'll be one of the people who doesn't get it so bad. It'll just be like the flu. I'll be over in a week. Man, like I have read enough firsthand accounts from people who have gotten this. I know enough people who have been personally affected. I have seen the evidence about how this affects your heart going forward in life. That this is simply just not something I am gonna like joke around or take any risks with. So, it's mid July right now. This all started hitting in like February. I basically just like have barely left my house in 6 months, and like most people. There was that brief window in maybe like May or something, where I was like, oh, okay, I think maybe it's starting to get a little bit better, and maybe we've been kind of spared out on the West Coast in these like spread out distant towns, and I, go to a coffee spot here and there. And I went to dinner a couple of times, and then as soon as we realized no, that was not the case, and a whole bunch of the South and the West was going to get crushed by Corona, I said, nope, I'm just, right back to the house. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not living my life. So, man, it's just, you know, it's very frustrating sometimes and I'm sure many, many people in the chat share my sentiment on this, to have made those sacrifices and you know, to have basically completely cut off my social life and really any unnecessary activity, and then to just like watch people going out and do like doing whatever they want, mask free, whatever they want all the time, and I'm living it up. I'm not too worried about it. Like it's kind of a societal thing. It really makes me think that in a lot of ways, the sort of American individualism is remarkably poor. A very poor mindset for handling societal problems. Like for a lot of things, it can be like, hey, that's not my problem. That's your problem, and we're all independent here, and so you do things by your own merit, and if you plan for it, you'll be good to go. And okay, I follow you up to a degree, but sometimes, and a pandemic being a perfect example, things are not so individualistic, and if that is your mentality about all things, then it breaks down when we have a situation like this. So yeah, I gotta say that watching social media lately and seeing a lot of people be just out there just rubbing elbows, living their life, breathing all over each other. It just kind of drives me crazy. I read this thing about Louis Gohmert, a congressman from Texas, showing up to tell his staff in person that he had COVID, and like I I don't remember the last time a news story made me that angry. Like I get angry from the news sometimes because it's 2020. But I can't remember the last time I thought like I put myself into the mind of his employees and just like flew into a fit of rage and just tried to picture like how I would react in that moment. I would lose my job and like maybe my personal freedoms when I assaulted somebody. Like I would just lose my mind if somebody was just like, "Well, I made sure to show up and tell you in person that I have COVID." Like, are you kidding me? Oh my God. So yeah, stuff like that, stuff like that just makes me think like I gotta stop reading the news. Like I just need to hunker down and turn the news off and just lock into Warzone poker and the NBA basketball, because I'll just like wake up and angry out my blood seeing the way people are handling this. It's just oh man. What is the problem with betting on Doug or DNEG? There's no real problem. There's no, it's just a price. Um, yeah, it's just a price. At the price currently, I am more inclined to bet on Daniel. If it were even money, Doug would be the slam dunk bet, but nobody wants to bet Daniel at even money. Nobody wants to bet Daniel as a small underdog. The market seems to think Daniel is a big underdog in this format, and yeah, that's pretty much the exact breakdown, Coffin. Just how long I end up streaming is very contingent on my food ordering. I think you're absolutely right. I think that we will be on the online poker front for quite a long time before live poker really opens back up. I mean, I don't have any inside intel. People often think that like, you know, um, I'm super hooked in with the casinos, and I know exactly the day that they're planning to reopen. But I think they often, and Cavan can attest to this, they often don't know themselves because so many factors are outside of their control, and so they basically just kind of have to plan for periods and set dates and just kind of cross their fingers and hope that it's doable. Well, JJ, there's don't get me wrong, I don't mean to be strictly critical. There's a lot of upside to the American like hyper independent mindset, but it starts to show its limitations on a societal level when you encounter something that that basically that mindset works great when your actions don't affect other people. It's the very like the heightened personal freedoms of like, hey, don't tread on me, man. As long as I do, what I'm doing doesn't bother you, you don't get to tell me what to do. Okay, yeah, I'm right there with you. And actually, I'm pretty sure in terms of my cultural conditioning, that is how I feel internally. The breakdown is when it's like, hey, we need you to wear a mask so we can reduce the rate of transmission. And it's like, don't tread on me, bro. You can't tell me what to do. Like, I'll put other people at risk if I want to. That's where we start to like kind of, and a lot of people simply don't perceive it as being put into risk, or they say that someone telling them what to do, uh, any kind of limits on their personal freedoms. Um, oh, look at this. We get all the money in with King Queen. A bunch of limps. We shove like 17, 18 lines with King Queen. All of them call. And we flop two overs open-ended. I agree. Yeah, and Party Poker has been the perfect partner for us to do WPT events with, and I appreciate that Rob Young and the staff at Party communicates with the poker community so well. They incorporate our advice. But no, I never did a podcast. I briefly started doing some. Oh, this is not looking good. This is not looking good at all. I did some YouTube content for a while and a gambling vlog, but I find the whole content creation grind to be very exhausting. There's our nines and our ace. Wow, our kings and queens are alive though. Okay, they got us. It's looking like we got 30 minutes. We got 30 minutes until that next one. It's tricky. Maybe we'll play a little bit of cash just to keep the stream going, and then we'll fire up the next tournament. Yeah, I mean, I would never work for a guy like Gooey Gomer, but like, it's just, I don't even mean like if my boss, like if anybody at work showed up and was just like, was like, I decided to come in and tell you that I got COVID. Like, he says, your dude would just be a classic, like, hold me back, bro. Like, I guess hold me back from throwing something at this person because I'm obviously not going to go and touch them. But, like, hold me back from just, like, ripping the lamp out of the wall and hurling it at them. Like, I would just. I would not, I would not take it in stride at all. All right, what do we got? What do we got in the cash game streets? But no, I never did the podcast thing. I did YouTube videos for a while, but those are a lot of work. And then it started to look like YouTube was going to strike down gambling content, which I believe that they have kind of done. And the other thing, so when sports betting became broadly legalized in the United States, it occurred to me that as somebody who was, central in poker, had been around the gambling community for a long time, did a whole bunch of daily fantasy sports, a lot of sports betting, and just kind of loved all that stuff, that I was well situated to do something like, build a brand as America's voice of gambling or something like that. And I thought, okay, cool. Like I'll do a whole bunch of content. I'll position myself. Maybe I can approach companies like DraftKings, whoever else becomes a major player in the sports betting market in the United States, and do for them something similar that I do with the WPT and pair it all together. And what I really found pursuing, you know, media, sports, um, working for companies like that is that how to put it. I'm not really built for it, I guess you'd say. There are certain personality traits and a certain type of ambition needed, I think, to succeed in entertainment, or at least best suited to succeed in entertainment. Um, and I don't really think I am built that way. I don't think I am built for that stuff. I don't really like having to be nice to people just because it's professionally good or having, I don't know, like schmooze and network. The whole idea, it just seems foreign and disingenuous to me. What I really liked about gambling and playing poker for a living was this whole idea of you don't have to do anything or be around anyone you don't want to. You don't have to ever, like, you just never have to fake it. It's a pure meritocracy. If you can make enough money doing this through your own abilities and effort and work, then then you're good to go. Just don't have to do anything that you really don't want to. You don't have to, interact with people you don't want to. You don't have to ever lie or BS and like a whole bunch of media is exactly what I just described. And like the end goal is basically to get to, a job with somebody like a DraftKings or some other gaming company and tell consumers like, hey, come bet with these people. But like these people are often just going to offer lines that are like terrible for the consumer. And I just don't, I guess in a lot of ways, what I'm saying is I don't want to happen to me what happened to Negrani, which is he sort of lost touch with the like players that either where he came from, right? Nagano for a long time was seen as this very authentic guy who like, he came up through the various ring games and tournaments and he went broke a bunch of times and he had a drinking problem, but he was super upfront about it and then he overcame those things and he was a voice for the players and he was trying to do things right with the sites and communicate and all these things. And then gradually over time, he became so much on the operator side. A lot of people felt like Nagano is just doing and saying whatever is necessary to get a paycheck. He doesn't care about the community anymore. He'll go so far as saying, more rake is better because that's what his bosses want him to say. And obviously that's not better for the players, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't want to go down that path where it was just like one day I'm the guy, working for a DraftKings or a FanDuel being like, you gotta get the DraftKings and bet on this thing. And everyone's like, why? Your guy's line is the worst. And I'm like, you gotta do it anyway, because that's who I work for. Whereas what I love about being with the WPT is there's never going to be any compromising my values. They're never going to be like, Tony, we want you to tell people to go out there and play poker tournaments. Like, and I'm going to be like, no, that's not okay. Like I love poker tournaments. I always have. I've been watching the WPT since forever, telling people that they should come down and play a poker tournament feels like the most genuine thing I could possibly tell them. Like I feel very perfectly suited for that role. Telling people they should come hang out at the casino, be around poker and gambling culture. If you want to play the game, sure. If you want to think about it in a more skillful way, okay, here are the resources for you. If you want to approach it like a fun gambler, hey, we've got a game for you over here. Um, yeah, that to me never felt like any kind of compromise. So I love my place at the WPT and my position in the poker media. But when I thought about having to try and expand that, it seemed to come with a lot of compromises that I didn't really care for. It's meant for gorillas like me and Rogan. I've been watching a little more Rogan lately. He gets very good guests. And I will say that Rogan does a very good job. Well, here's the thing. Rogan does a really good job of giving his guests room to talk and he never really judges, and he only rarely challenges. His role is not as like if you watch like a journalistic interview in, say, the UK, the famous example I always think of is when Ben Shapiro went on a UK news show on a BBC, and a conservative BBC journalist basically took the sort of devil's advocate position of trying to dismantle Shapiro's arguments, to challenge him in a lot of ways, to flesh out what he was saying and prove whether it was valid or not. That's not the approach that Rogan takes. He doesn't take this. He's not trying to play. He is not ever trying to like prove his guest wrong. He's not ever trying to like truly, I guess you'd say, challenge their ideas in a way that could make things uncomfortable. But what he does do really well is he's very genuinely curious, and very open-minded. Some would say too open-minded at a time, which is why he kind of crosses over to like the conspiracy theory, Alex Jones, come on down kind of side of things. But I think that he has found such a strong audience because many people at this point are a little tired of their media seemingly or overtly coming with narrative, and an agenda. And Rogan mostly goes in agenda free, I would say. He's mostly in his interviews just kind of like he's just kind of a bro asking questions about stuff he doesn't really get. And or sometimes he does get, but sort of gets it and wants to hear more from his guest. And I think that voice resonates with people a lot more. I will say that it worries me a little bit that people have become so bad at having their ideas and their pre-existing biases challenged. And that is true of both sides of the political spectrum, or in gambling markets and things. But like I think that social media, and especially Twitter as a culture, has made people very primed for arguments, as opposed to, I think you're wrong for the following reasons, and someone being like, actually, that one thing you said was a pretty decent point. Maybe I should reconsider. Or just being like, you know what, you're right. Or just being like, hey, I disagree with you, but that's okay. Like, that's oftentimes what I feel like people kind of. I don't know. Maybe that was never a thing. I will say that's very revisionist to be like, oh, back in my day, people knew how to disagree civilly. Like, come on, bro. Did they, though? It does feel, though, that Twitter and the algorithms of social media certainly have people primed to be more. I know the classic word is triggered or whatever it is, but, that one has political connotations. But more primed for conflict, I guess, and less primed for resolution or understanding. And what I enjoy about Rogan's podcast and his interaction with his guests is that it's not conflict oriented at all. He's just a dude, shooting the breeze with somebody he's curious about. Some of the clips I watch on there the most are guys talking about fitness culture, strength culture. Talking about some of the stuff I've been watching lately is talking about strength training, because my fitness routine over the years was always, I guess you'd say, very like aesthetic based. So it's just, if you could get to a point where you looked, you look pretty good and you're in decent shape, then who really cares about how much you're lifting? And then more recently, not only did my focus shift towards strength just for the sake of strength, but also I realized that like, hey, strong muscles are big muscles, basically. And if you want to have a good aesthetic, you're going to want to get stronger and bigger. And I do regret that my training over the years neglected trying to build up strength. And so in the fall, before everything shut down, I did like kind of a long stretch of trying to build up my strength. And for a while, it went well. And I attempted what one of these podcast guests would describe as linear progression in weight training. And it is, exactly what it sounds like, which is just trying to gradually, go up. For many people, it would be like, okay, you performed the bench press and you did your 3 of 8 and you did it well and competently. So next week you had 5 pounds, and then okay, you did it competently. Next week you had 5 pounds, and you try and progress in a linear, steady fashion up to a point. And what this guest pointed out, and which I encountered as well, is that actually, you know, the human body is not designed for perpetual linear progression. You can't just keep adding weight, keep adding weight, keep adding weight, obviously, otherwise we'd all be crazy strongmen if we went to the gym. But I just mean that even after a moderate period of adding weight and doing heavy lifting, your body starts to rebel in some ways. It's getting, through injuries or aches or it just plateaus. And so that was kind of what I encountered last time around was that I got in there and I started to, for 2 months, I was able to gradually increase the weight. And then I hit a bunch of walls and then I got a sciatica injury and then, other things hurt. And then, okay, I got back and I'm still at these plateaus, or actually I had to drop back down a little bit because of the injury. And this guest, Pavel Tatsuin, something like that, he's a Russian guy, discussed how the Russians in the 80s during their studies of strength training had actually done a crap load of empirical data collection and trying to build methods out of collecting all of this data, and they found that when it comes to strength training we do and perform a lot better essentially taking it slow. One of the systems they described was step loading, which is basically like, okay, you do a certain amount you do your amount of work at a certain weight, and you stay at that step, as it were, for weeks on end, only slightly increasing the volume or something like that before you actually make a larger jump up in weight. But that allows your body to sort of solidify the gains, is the idea. And yeah, once everything opens back up and we get gyms and everything, I'd like to go back in and see if I can't climb back up the ladder of strength in hopefully a more healthy way, a more complete way. Maxwell, what do you do if you're having horrible luck in tournaments? How long of a break do you take? I just go study more. That's truly the answer. If I'm having really bad luck in tournaments, maybe I'll give myself an off day. For the most part, I don't. If there's just good poker, I play it. And I'll try and study more. Maybe I'll like dropping in stakes isn't quite the right word because I'm always just going to play what I'm going to play. But sometimes if there's a tournament that I think is like the lowest value tournament of the night, maybe I'll skip that if I'm really just not feeling like I'm on my A game. But for the most part, I just try and study it out and not force myself to play when I don't want to. That's a big thing. Is like some people they're trying to just like grind through the loss, and that's a fine approach if you feel good mentally. But I would tell you that unless you're feeling up to it, mentally, um, if the losing is discouraging you in such a way that you feel like you need a break, like don't be afraid to take a little break. That's totally fine. Like I've been going crazy hard at poker for the last 18 months, and after I reach the finish line this weekend, I'm gonna take a break for a while. Um, Maybe even I'm not really planning on it because there's not a lot else to do these days. But if there was, it wouldn't shock me if I just like didn't play for a month or two. I don't really have to. I feel super lucky that it's been a great 18 months of the game, and I was able to accomplish essentially what I wanted to, both in terms of developing as a player and putting myself in a better financial position. Um, but and I still have the hunger for the game. I'm not like talking about retiring or anything, but it's been a long grind for the last 18 months, and I'd like to do some other stuff. And if I were losing, I can't imagine how much I would want to break. Losing is tough on your mind. Yes, the kettlebell dude. That's exactly right. So yeah, DeChambeau, when you say that, Air Herb, I mean, it's pretty cool to see what he did to his body. I don't know too much about the story other than, he got very seriously into weight training and he gained some strength and power. And this is one of the numerous ways he's trying to find his edges on the course. Did it come with any setbacks, injuries, any complications, stuff like that? I mean, DeChambeau's pretty young, so I feel like he's good to go. But yeah, it's unfortunately what it happens. All right, we are going to take instead of our normal 5-minute break that we get in the tournament, I'm just going to take it now since we're about an hour in. I'll be back in a few, guys. Ah, they booted me quick. Whoa. I wasn't even gone 5 minutes. So Majonius, that's exactly the system they were describing, which is basically that you should first make more incremental increases in the reps you're doing, and just sort of the volume at that weight. And once that weight really started to feel comfortable, that's when you knew it was time to increase the actual amount of weight that you were doing. So um, yeah, I'm curious how far did you build it up? What did you get up to? What was your best lift? And what did you think was key in getting you there? Feel free to answer as little or as much as you like. Okay, we'll play a little more of this cash game, and then we have our last tournament starting up in 15 minutes. They're saying, hey, you just left that seat. You got to come in for the same amount. So JJ, how do I study? That's a good question. Let's go ahead and post. 3 key ways that I study right now. So I have actually never run a PioSolver sim in my life, but I study a lot of other people's PioSolver sims. Like I watch, training videos. So where people have done a bunch of the solves already, and then they're like, okay, here's what I built, here's what I want to look at this hand, and boom. I probably should take the time to learn PioSolver. It seems like an amazing tool, but I'm the worst about this stuff. It's just one of those weird things. I'm the worst about doing my own work, but if somebody gives me a bunch of work they did and they say, hey, here, memorize this because you're going to have to put it into action later, I'm good at that. I would guess, JJ, that maybe you were a theater guy, maybe you did some acting before you did stand up, but like, that was certainly my background. So I wasn't the guy who could like, go back there and do the math, or, write the play. But if you wrote the play and then you gave me the words and you're like, go out and act it, go do the thing. Okay, like all right, no problem. I'll memorize this strategy, this thing that you gave me, and then I'll go out and do it. So I studied a lot of other people's work. I watched training videos and Run It once. I of course make training videos at Learn, and actually another key part of my study there was doing hand history reviews with Lucky Chewy, who's another instructor there. So, if you guys are Diamond members and playing in the event tonight, your Learn subscription is included. And as much as I would recommend my own videos, I would say you should probably watch Chewy's first. His are going to be better. His are going to be more informative. I think he is the sharper poker mind, the better educator. And I've just learned so much from him over the years. And we did reviews that were very helpful because I would make a decent amount of runs, but not always maximize my earn. And if you think about it, like if you make a deep run in a tournament, you really need to get those decisions right. They're the ones where the most money and equity is on the line. But we often like play our best game earlier in the tournament because we're more fresh. It's just tough to be dialed in for like 8 hours straight. If you watch most people 8 hours into their session, like they're probably checking their phone and zoned out and have the sports on or whatever it is, more at that stage because they're one tabling and it's 17 big blind average. Let's see who wins the next coin flip kind of poker. But despite those factors, it's really important that that's when you dial in. So a few things. Watching training videos, looking at a lot of other people's work, working with not the solvers but the trainers. Like they take a bunch of solves and then build them into the trainer, the GTO trainer, the GTO trainer, things like that, and then just like practicing that so you get the rhythm of certain play, especially when you're the first actor. Like I don't like when you study with trainers. I don't like or their river play very much because they act as though people actually bluff on the river when in reality I think people are bluffing 10 to 20% as much as the trainer does. Like it's a fraction. And so if you go too crazy with the trainer, you'll end up calling people down way too wide when you're playing actual poker, which is why I think the hand history review is so important because you pick up population tendencies and you see your own mistakes. But yeah, those three have been the big mix. It really is just those three, just a lot of steady volume. And you know what? Kind of going back to the weight training thing and some of the stuff I've been watching on Rogan. Sometimes I see people talk about studying, and they make it sound like from the moment they wake up until when they go to bed, like it's just poker, poker, poker. It's all I do. Oh my, I remember watching listening to like Patrick Leonard or Fader Holtz, guys like this. Who, don't get me wrong, have had massive success, so I don't doubt that they went super hard at poker. Um, but sometimes I hear people talk about training and studying, and I think, man, that sounds like overkill. Like I'm a believer in consistency over intensity. I think you'll be fine really focusing and studying poker like an hour a day, 3 to 6 days a week, and but like really being zoned in and studying and not really listening to these people that talk like they're in the lab 4 to 8 hours a day, 40-hour weeks, week after week, because I just love poker so much. Oh, okay, I guess maybe there's a couple of like, first of all, I kind of think that everybody is exaggerating about how much work they do when they talk like that. And second, I think that while there may be a few people where that is actually an accurate depiction of their work ethic, the vast majority of your competition is putting in like not zero work, but pretty close, or it's very sporadic work. It's like, 1 week they studied a whole bunch, and then for like 2 months they didn't at all. And then they did a couple of reviews, they felt hungry, and then they didn't at all for another 3 months. And it's just like it goes like that with a lot of people. And I think that if you can commit yourself to just studying consistently every day or maybe most days. Doesn't need to be a crazy amount. Doesn't even need to be a full hour or anything like that. Just, 40 minutes of just focused in. Put your damn phone away. Turn the TV off. Turn all the distractions away. Focus on poker. Think about it, and then do your best to incorporate it. Like all of that stuff really adds up. It really does. You don't have to go crazy with this. Yeah, how we doing in the tournament tonight? What's going on? I got wrecked a little early. If we had won the king queen hand, we would have 4x'd our stack and really had something. But it wasn't for me. It was not to be. How we all doing tonight? But yeah, I remember, some guys make it sound like they just like fall asleep running Pio Sims. And okay, if that's what you love to do, lucky you. You're probably gonna have an amazing career. I love poker. I'm still fascinated by the game, but I do not have an appetite to study 40-hour weeks of poker. I want a lot of it to be play, but I will say that studying helps with your both your confidence and competence. It's really nice when you do study a lot that when you get in game, the vast majority of situations you encounter, you're like, Psh, I know what to do here, I know what to do here, or like, I'm pretty sure about this one. And then you see other people play, and you're just like, what is he doing? Doesn't he know that his range is this and not that? It gives you a real strong like I talked to some of the other regs who I know don't study very much, and for them poker is it's a chaotic game where I feel like they have no control. And to be honest, up until about 2 years ago, that's exactly how I felt. Um, because if you look at my results in like 2017 and 18, it's garbage. It's total garbage. This all happened because at the very end of 2018, start of 2019, I looked at my hand in mob and I was like, oh crap, like I'm 34 and I've barely had any results in 2 years. And if I'm not careful, I'm going to be washed up. So I really need to recommit myself and challenge myself and just be, just show up every day. Um, and at that time, when I would play poker, I just kind of felt how to put it. It's not like I felt lost all the time. I just didn't feel like I really knew the answer all the time. And now when I'm playing, it's not quite that, but my level of confidence about, should I be here in this hand? Did I choose the right hand for this kind of play? Can I be making this play with the appropriate frequency? That all feels really good. And that's a great feeling, to be honest with you, to feel really sharp at what you do. It's gonna be a good second half to this game, that's for sure. I am free rolling today though, because my Utah Jazz bet was bigger than my Lakers bet, so we're already in the profit. I didn't play any real money poker today. We're just hanging out on club, enjoying the social side. I did an interview today with Lance Bradley at Pocket Fives, and he was asking, what's it like to try and go back and forth between playing for really like, high stakes final tables on the World Series side, but then go back to a subscription based, social side of poker. And I talked about how when I first got into poker, it was really for the social appeal. Like, yeah, I knew in the back of my mind there was the possibility I could turn this into a living or a nice source of income for my young adulthood. But initially, I got started because it looked like fun, and when I would play, I would hang out with my friends, and we would talk about sports, or if it was a guy game full of guys, we talk about girls, or just kind of it was hanging out with people, it was being with people, it was being social. It was a form of socializing for me, and in a lot of ways, it still is. Especially like sometimes I'll be bored in some city where I don't necessarily know people, and we're there for a tournament, and if I'm just like, oh, I'm bored, I'm lonely, I'll just like I can just go play poker and have a good time. I can still do that anytime I want. And that's a really cool side of the game. And that's what I very much enjoy about hanging out here with y'all on the stream team, about doing Club WPT, is that it really takes me back to that social game mentality I had when I first got started and I'm playing with my friends and, senior year of high school and in a prop up table in my in the driveway. Okay. Um, ugh, what a weird spot. But I don't really see folding. Let's go all in. This is kind of thin. Okay. Yeah, I would have folded tens. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Jack ball. Oh, you bought a piece of Greg Raymer. He was on my table yesterday. That's super funny you say that, Air Herb, because I see the screen name Fossil Man show up to my table, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Greg Raymer, but I'm not 100%. But yeah, now I'm feeling like I didn't make a mistake there. Greg's a nice guy. I go back a long time with Greg. It feels very weird to me, but I know personally the just almost every World Series main event winner over the last, let me think about this, 17 years dating back to Moneymaker. There's got to be at least a couple in there that I don't know personally. Like there was an Asian dude whose name I'm forgetting, but he was wearing the sparkly hat, I want to say, and he was more of a baccarat guy, and that was a few years ago. I can't really remember very much about it. Um, we've played some poker together. I'm blanking on what his name is, but I can't say like I know him personally. He was a nice guy though when we played poker, but a lot of them, a lot of them that I've just kind of gotten to know over the years. Oh, we got ace four here. And in some cases become pretty friendly with. Blumstein's a good example. Pretty good friends with Scott Blums. I forgot to text him back earlier. He texted me. We were chatting about sports. Scott's a good dude. He's really made the most of his win. But a lot of them are nice guys, and a lot, Greg was a nice guy. Someone I knew, man, way back in the day. He got that sponsorship with Poker Stars way back in the day. Started traveling around the Asian Pacific Poker Tour when the game was first coming up there, and that's kind of sort of where I came up in live poker. So I remember, I think me and Greg, like went to dinner in New Zealand before, something random like that, along with Lee Nelson. Okay, now we can fold. Our backdoors are just nothingness now. Hashem, and then, so it was Greg Raymer, and then it was Hashem, who, being in Australia, I mean, Hashem still, still a buddy. Somebody I've known, God, I've known Hashem forever. 15 years. I've known Joe Hashem 15 years. Doesn't seem like it. I just had dinner with him and Mike Sexton and a whole bunch of good people. Matt Savage included in LA. Covin might have been there. I don't think so. I don't think this was. No, I don't think so because this was not at his Not at his gardens, but at, I want to say, LAPC. But a whole bunch of us went to dinner, and it's good to catch up with Joe. He was a real celebrity down in Australia for a while there. I mean, maybe he still is. I can't really speak to it. I haven't been down in a while, but like, poker blew up in Australia, and he was, how to put it, because there was no previous poker celebrities down there. He was, their Helmuth, Negreanu, Mike Sexton, all rolled up into one. He really was, because they just, prior to him, no major Australian poker figures existed or had won a big international tournament, and then he just won the World Series main in '05, and the whole thing blew up, and then, yeah, poker exploded in Australia the same way it did in the United States back then. So you say, I don't know what my best could have been when overnight my part-time job into full-time 12 hour. Whoa, and a huge commute. Well, it's too bad you didn't get to really, kind of push it to the level that you sensed you could take it to. All right, we gotta leave this table. But you gotta make those sacrifices. I get it. Choose family first and then sleep second. Those are that's pretty much the exact order that I would do things into. So I feel you on that. I'm all about my sleep. I am. That's actually that. You know what? We talked about. Well, how did you study before? What kind of improvements did you make? I've always been a big believer in sleep, and I don't wear one of those like bands that like tracks your sleep. A lot of people have those. I find them fascinating, but without ever having looked at what my numbers are like on one of those, I would be willing to bet that if you studied my results for online poker and then you studied the nights where I had, the top 25 best sleep and the worst 25 best sleep, I bet, or worst 25% sleeps, or, I bet a whole bunch of my best results would be on those nights where I had the top 25, like a really good nights of sleep, and a whole bunch of my losing sessions would actually be nights where I had really bad sleep, or at least that there you would find some correlation there, and maybe even more than any other one factor. I just think that there's a huge amount of your performance ability tied to your sleep and your restfulness. Actually, it's something, watching the NBA in the background, it's something you hear NBA players talking about now, that they're really mindful of their sleep to the point of even scheduling naps, um, just to make sure that they're like at their peak sleep fitness, I guess you would say. Chi Win, that's right, Coven. Yeah, Chi Win. And so he was not a guy who was a fixture in poker. Like I said, we played together a little bit after his win. He seemed like a nice guy. But I can't say that I know him. But almost every other winner between Moneymaker and Johnson, most recently, I've had a chance to get to know personally. It's been interesting to watch them come and go, and mostly come and stay over the years. But some of them have come and gone. Jerry Yang, yeah, we don't see Jerry Yang anymore. Another real nice guy, Jerry Yang. He just didn't. His family really did not want him to keep gambling, to lose that money back. Yeah, yeah. So, my bad, Gavin. Thought about it after the fact. I was like, actually, no, I don't think Gavin was there. Somehow, I doubt you were intentionally left off the list, though. It was one of those, we're all just playing poker, and then LAPC finishes up pretty early, like 8:30 or something like that. So often we just, roll out of there, and there's some steak place that we would go to that Mike and Vince always loved. I don't think we even had Vince with us that night. I think it was Matt, Mike, Joe Hashem, and then there's Tyler Patterson, and maybe one other person, a few other people I'm forgetting. I think maybe some people that I was a little less familiar with. Clippers, yeah, the Clippers are rolling right now. Clippers are kind of smashing. Not looking good for me. Giving up 5 points. Not looking good. I cannot wait for tomorrow. What time is John Morant tomorrow? That's the question. And then we got Bucks Celtics. Oh man, Bucks against the second best team in the East. Oh wow. See, this is what I love about the NBA right now. It starts at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. They just do it this way forever. It's like NFL Red Zone. You wake up and there's just like nonstop sports all day. You just flipping between. Okay, yeah, I know we don't get to flip between games here, but just the idea that like so many days in a row. Look at this. I'm looking, I'm scrolling and scrolling. 10 a.m., 11 a.m. It's just games running all day. Thank you so much, NBA. This is exactly what I always wanted. I didn't even know it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tomorrow's first game, not as exciting. Magic Nets, kind of whatever. But Grizzlies Trailblazers at 1 p.m. I mean, that's appointment television. I will be firmly on my couch. Oh no! Clippers up 6. This is a disaster. Yeah, I got Lakers -5. I'm going to eat it. Yep. I don't think I'm going to get away with this one. There's only so much Braun can do. Oh. JaVale. Danny. Ah. Talking about sleep made Smithy Rogue tired. All right, have a good night. I really, that was one of the biggest reasons I became a professional poker player. In high school, I had a lot of sleep problems. Couldn't get a good night's sleep for a couple of years in a row there, and then I felt like I was just always tired. And I remember when I started playing poker a lot, I was like, well, if I just play poker for a living, nobody gets to set an alarm for me. I don't have to wake up at any given time. I just sleep until when I sleep. So I can pull this off, I might be okay. Yeah, just that, the independence to create your own life structure. One of the most appealing things for poker players. The other is the lack of authority figures in your life. I think that's a big thing. Poker players hate being told what to do. They don't like having a boss. They don't like anyone having that kind of authority over them. They're just a bunch of anti-authoritarians. Oh, LeBron, come on, man. Oh, but then he gets the interception. Nope. Ooh. Look out. What a block. Steven's Steak and Seafood. Is that what it was? I wouldn't even know. It was good, though. It's tasty stuff. How does it feel to own Jonathan Little? It feels great. He's not. He makes this joke about it, but it's true. Like every time we go deep in a live tournament together, we end up at the same table. There's like a few tables left, and then we play some massive pre-flop hand, and I find a way to win the flip. It's always like some 60-40 or 50-50, and I always find a way to win. It's just kind of been my turn to be the guy who wins too many flips for the last 18 months. I don't even want to know how many flips I've won in the last month during the World Series. I won all the flips. Yeah, the NBA schedule is like March Madness. It's amazing. You just wake up and it's on. Oh, I love it. Let's go, Lynch. Get it done. Let's see what LeBron's got here. Nope. I wish, I don't know, maybe this is something Jeremy can advise me on, but I wish we could all just like watch sports together. We'd have like, we'd have the stream going, we'd have the table. I don't know how to point it out, but we'd have like the table, up here in one corner, and then we could just, we got me here, and then maybe we could just have like an NBA game in the bottom right, and we're all just like watching it together. Do commentary for the poker table, do commentary for the NBA. Although Kevin Harlan's already kind of commentary perfection, so don't mess with it. Yeah, I'm on delay, so sometimes you guys tell me stuff and I check and oh no. There we go. So yeah, the Lakers -5, not looking too hot tonight. It's funny. At the start of the stream, I was like, yeah, Clippers haven't looked good during this scrimmages, but so much of that can just be shooting variance. Like, and we're dealing with very small samples. So Vandy, we have a poker question about a hand. I was in the hijack with Jack 10 offsuit. I limped around to me. I limped as well. I don't really love the over limp there, but okay. Dealer and small blind folded, big blind checked, limp pot, flop was jack 10 deuce, rainbow. Checked mid position, who pot bet it. I was next and thought of it and just checked instead of pot betting. You mean just called, I assume? Instead of just going all in, I thought I'd do that on the turn. Yeah, that's basically what you want to do. So it's interesting. In these hands where we flop top two pair, especially something like that, Jack 10 deuce, you kind of have the board killed, right? Like the hands that you want to get the money in against are, bad top pairs and over pairs, and he's not likely to have an overpair if it's a limp pot. Could, but not likely. And you block your opponent from having top pair. And so if you already have your opponent doing the betting for you with the top two pair type hands, and you see this in poker, especially as you get two more shallow stacks, they end up doing a lot of calling as opposed to raising. They do more raising with deeper stacks and you're trying to get money in. But the problem in a limp pot is even something like this, oftentimes we're just kind of like gritting our teeth and hoping that our opponent doesn't show us deuces. He's just gonna have to call down with your top two pair. But this is why I don't really like getting in limp pots unnecessarily. There are certainly many hands that I would limp behind there, but they're going to be more like low suited aces, low pocket pairs, the odd suited connector. This turn was okay. It checked around to me, and I pot bet it, and was instantly called by the big blind. Everybody else folded. So now we're talking about deuce, jack, 10, king. And he turns over ace, queen. Yeah, so he peeled the flop with a gut shot and two overcards, which is, not good facing a pot bet, but not the end of the world. But no, you should not be raising the flop. Yeah, you don't want to worry about your call allowed your opponent to make a sizable mistake. Yeah, four outs to the nuts is a relevant draw. But you're not supposed to be calling pot with an inside straight draw on the flop unless I don't know, maybe you have insanely deep stacks and your outs are to the nuts and your opponent puts in way too much money with hands and stuff. But for the most part, your call allowed your opponent to make a mistake. It was just one that happened to pay off for them this time. But yeah, don't. The real lesson is don't limp behind. There we go. Sometimes this gets real itchy up there. Yeah, that would be sweet, Jeremy. Exactly. I don't know if it's actually all feasible, but it would be fun, and I feel like a lot of the chat is watching the game too. So I'd feel a little bit better if I was like, hey, oh, here's what I'm seeing, as opposed to assuming that you guys are following along, and I'm delayed. So I'm like, wow, what a block! And it's like cool block 3 minutes ago. Well, Glove, the big question is when do you sleep until? Do you get, your a consistent 7 to 9 hours a night? Do you get the number that makes you feel good, or are you sleep depriving yourself? But yeah, I'm liking my Bucks right now. I'm liking my Bucks. I got them at plus 325. Feel like it's their year. It's our turn. Gonna win the championship. Giannis signs an extension. Goes on to win 5 or 6 titles, and everyone anoints him the GOAT. Pretty sure that's how this plays out. Pretty clear raise with our queens. And now at the overpair, we're just going to want to keep betting. Yeah, our opponents could have, I don't know what that's all about. Could have a set or whatever it is, but we just have quite a good hand here. And, stacked to pot's not that deep. Now, if he 3-bets me, we're probably screwed, especially when we have the queen of diamonds. We block a lot of the flush draw overcard combinations that would feel good about getting a bunch of money in on the flop, but we also just have way too good of a hand to lay down. That's just the simple reality. Is that we are going to find our opponent putting it in with enough worse hands or enough hands that we actually have decent equity against that we're never raising, or sorry, we're never, well, I mean, technically it's a raise, but his 30 functions more like a check, but we're never betting the full there. Okay. Raise it up again with our ace jack. Well, appreciate that, G squared. I'm happy that the segments did help when I was doing the raw deal. I had a good time doing them, that's for sure. But there is always Learn WPT. We go way more in depth on Learn. What I like about the format that we do videos on Learn is that we're not just showing a maximum amount of hands. Okay, here's what I did. Oh, raise, fold this, raise, call that. Okay, easy. We narrow it down to a few of the key hands. But it sounds like from talking to Nick that the two of us might turn our bracelet wins into more extended kind of like, not quite every hand revealed type stuff, but more similar to that. We don't want to show all the nothing hands, but we will do a much more extended version. So if a typical video is 3 to 5 hands, and maybe if I really make a run in a tournament where I want to pull hands from, I might turn it into 2, at most 3 videos. It sounds like with the World Series wins, we really turn them into more extended content. Because I think a sort of, how do you win a bracelet series would be something a lot of people would want to see. And when Nick and I both win a bracelet within a week of each other and have the hand histories available to us, that sounds like something that a lot of people would be curious to see. Caruso, get it! Let's go! Oh, over 2,200 runners tonight. What do we got for our prize pool? Hmm. Oh, we can play suited ace. That's no doubt. So, Glove Gamer, if you're watching a whole bunch of WPT, what are the episodes or what are the players that have really stood out to you in the recent seasons? Certainly had some memorable final tables. And, I have definite answers in my commentating career for the ones that have most stood out in my mind. Well, this is going to kind of work out nicely, though, as we'll wrap up the stream just about the time this game goes into the fourth quarter, and I can really just sit down and watch, hopefully. Oh, LeBron, come on. Hopefully, watch the Lakers get back into it and then pull away. Hey, come on, TV. Ace 210. I don't see you bluff very much here. Here's the thing about bluffing. It with bluffing, it's not like I try and force bluffs. I tend to take the bluffs that present themselves to me. And a lot about bluffing well is sort of telling a plausible story, representing a believable hand, basically having your play be congruent with the value parts of your range. And so there are definitely spots to bluff, and they often have to do with choosing the right cards or the right textures. So far tonight, I guess I just didn't really feel like there was a lot of like I bet this flop, and that's a bluff. I don't know how much I like barreling. This isn't the craziest card to barrel. The king is better for me than for him, but the diamond is probably better for him than for me, so it's sort of neutral. But as long as the conversation is coming up, maybe our opponent has some sevens or medium pairs that are going to fold to this bet. Now, see, yeah. Huh. Well, now, now I have no showdown value. And now if my opponent has a queen, but no diamond, it's pretty screwed. And it's really hard for me to get to this river with a worse hand than this. So it's really funny you say that, but there's a decent amount of diamonds that we can get here with. Our opponent, yeah, is going to sometimes have a diamond, but can often get to this river with a queen no diamond, and it's very, very tough to call down in that position. So let's go for it. Ah, they got us. Ah, yeah, the jack of diamonds. Wow, that is a interesting way to play jack high, jack six offsuit. So yeah, there's a lesson in why I don't try and bluff when it is not gonna hurt. I guess is what I'm saying. Oh man, that's pretty funny. I think the turn is probably the most ambitious street there. I don't really mind going for it on the river. Who, Kuzma? Yeah. Oh wow, oh yeah, that was interesting. I was like, wow, he was gonna show us something. Look at this. Oh, it was so wet. It was so wet. Anthony Davis, just nasty. Let's go. Oh, that was smooth. Who was that? That was very funny timing with the bluff comment. I was like, oh, also you who doesn't bluff. Okay, this is why I don't bluff. Waiters, look, healthy Waiters is actually not bad. Healthy, unselfish Waiters is not bad. He looked really good for Miami for a while. Oh, that was so smooth. He even had a hand in his face. Gerald Green, right? Oh, yeah, that's right. Jermichael Green. Gerald Green is a rocket. It's going to be a really good close to this game. So this workout is perfect. It's just about to go to the fourth quarter. We're just about to wrap up. Thank you to everybody that joined me in the stream tonight. Appreciate y'all every single week. So consistent here. I will not be in the chats tomorrow, but Saturday I'll probably just be hanging out on my couch, watching basketball, hanging out in the chat streams and everything like that. So yeah, I'll see you guys this weekend, no doubt. But as always, thanks so much for showing up and joining me for the stream. This could be a good end to this game. I love this format we got from NBA. Can't wait till we get morning basketball. That's just amazing. Well, I wish you all the best of luck in your tournaments. Hopefully somebody takes it down tonight. Maybe Cabby. Ooh. All right, going to the fourth and the 1 point game. That's good. That's good stuff. Heat up some food I got in the fridge. Is going to be amazing. Okay. All right. Well, we are about to jump into this fourth quarter. I am going to wrap up this tournament and close out the stream. So thanks again for joining me, everyone, this week. Hopefully we learned a valuable lesson in bluffing, and I got one more attempt at winning another bracelet tomorrow. So hopefully we take that down. Let's get it done. Have one more thing to talk about. I will be in the chats not tomorrow, but Saturday most definitely. And then I'm looking forward to next week as we will have had an entire week of sports to talk about. We'll be betting in more stuff. And I will actually be on a little bit of a vacation. And so, of course, if any of y'all are Warzone players, make sure to get at me because I am going to be playing a ton of Warzone next week. That's my plan. Watch basketball, gamble on silly stuff, play Warzone, do the Club WPT stream. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to a little, not quite time off, but time less. But until next time, y'all have a good night.